followers, this is Shasta's Journey. My name is Shasta Garcia and I'm your host. This show is all about my path to purpose, but along the way I get to meet so many incredible people with stories that could teach, heal, or inspire you guys with their journey of life and their path to purpose. And on this episode, I have a special guest. Her name is Stephanie Allison. She's a William Jessup student, but not only that, she's been a great friend of mine for many years.
Is it 6 years now?
Yeah, ever since we our paths crossed at a pizza parlor. And forever then, we've been close buddies. So, I mean, I figured while she's back from college on a little break, we'd go ahead and hear what's new. And she hasn't been on the show since the last show I hosted, which was Shasta's Teen Journal. So it's been some time.
Yeah, I think it's been almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
We've definitely changed.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys ever get to see the episodes from when she was first on it and I first started, I'll have to link those somewhere for you guys to see because it's just so crazy seeing our transformation.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you've definitely done some transforming since you started William Jessup.
Yeah, no, I've definitely grown a lot spiritually, musically, educational-wise, personally. Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of growth there.
Yeah, definitely. So let's take it back to pinpoint when you really found your faith. That'd be great.
Let's see. For me, I always kind of grew up in the church,
Mm-hmm.
so that was always there. But I don't think I had a personal relationship with God until I was in high school. So, I always knew who God was, and then I think maybe my freshman year of high school, I really just found myself having a relationship with Him, and just started to build on that in a youth group and having a leadership position in that, and just got to build in my relationship with Christ and with my peers, and getting to spread the word with them as well. So.
Mm-hmm. And you actually homeschooled with a purpose. I know I did towards the end of my high school years, but when I say homeschool with a purpose, there's obviously a reason why you started homeschool and you finished with homeschool. And how did that help you kind of build on your faith instead of, being always surrounded by all the impact that high school has?
I started homeschooling in 8th grade. And before that, I was really just struggling a lot in school. I mean, educational-wise, I was having a little bit of trouble. I mean, I was able to maintain decent grades, but I wasn't really learning anything, and that was a problem for me. And I was having trouble social-wise. I was having trouble finding the right people to hang out with and the right people to be around, and that was a really big struggle for me. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to change how I was acting and who I was, and I wanted to be a better person. And it was really hard to surround myself with other believers of Christ when you're surrounded by so many people who don't believe. And so I decided to go on homeschooling, and my mom put me into it, and it gave me the opportunity to what we like to call unschool. So kind of just work on yourself and work on your relationship with Christ. And my education ended up becoming Christ-centered through high school. And then now also I'm at a Christ-centered education. So
yeah, you're at a private Christian university, which has been amazing for you.
Oh, definitely.
You said it's kind of like being at a summer camp all year long.
Yeah, it's not all year. For the first month, it's Bible camp, but around the time that midterms roll around, you realize,
wait, this is school.
Definitely.
No, but that makes sense. And I don't know, all the trials and tribulations you've been through, we don't really get into that, but as far as your, Christian walk goes, and just, you're only 18, right? Mm-hmm. So during that process of you kind of transforming into the adulthood, what are some things that you've been through and you've overcame since then?
Ooh, since I became an adult and moved out on my own, or
just throughout your childhood, what are some things that you have experienced and that you have overcame?
There's my childhood is it's a rough one.
Yeah.
Think about it. I was bullied as a kid, so things were just really rough, and a lot of my friends were kind of crazy, and I had a lot of friends who became suicidal going into high school, and my parents were divorced, and there was a lot of things, and went through sexual abuse and assault and a lot of things like that, and so it was a really rough childhood, and it was really hard to believe in God through that, and stable as a believer. It's really hard because, you try to blame things on God, but I think I found when I was in high school that I overcame those things on my own, and I found that God used those as a tool. Those things that happened, I was able to share them with other people and people who had been through those same things, and or who were going through those same things, and tell them, it gets better, and it's okay to to keep your faith through all of that. So.
That's why I think it's so important for people to share their story, like no matter what their story consists of. It's super important because other people will be taught, healed, or inspired by it. And I know that your story has a lot to offer, and I know whoever's watching this, your story has a lot to offer too. And you can share your story at shastasjourney.com. And so why do you think it's so important for people to share their story?
I feel like it's really important to share your story because it helps other people know that they're not alone. I mean, I know for me personally, that was a big help, was knowing, okay, it's not just me who's going through these things. I have other people who have the same passions as me, or people who have gone through the same trials and tribulations. And it's very assuring, like knowing that you can make it through it, or that you're not alone in it. And it's nice to have that help, the people you can go to and say, hey, I'm in this sticky situation and I'm not really sure how to get out of it. Can you help me? And they can, because they've been there.
It's been quite the journey for you so far.
Definitely.
Throughout all these different types of things. God continues to break through and continues to use those things for good and continues to just shine light into your life.
Definitely.
With all the things that you've done so far, you were a worship leader, and well, you are still to this day, but you were a worship leader since what age?
I started leading worship as a freshman in high school, so I was 13.
Okay, and then you moved on to wanting to major in music?
Yeah, so I'm a music major at William Jessup University with a concentration in worship. So I study music and learn everything about it, and right now my goal is to become a worship pastor and just help people lead worship. I don't know, that's my goal for now, but we'll see where God leads us.
So how does your faith play a consistent role within your tune of music?
Honestly, music is not the safest route to go as a career. In fact, it's probably one of the least safe roles. Or it's not a safe place to go. It's there's no assurance of you're going to have a job, you're going to be able to sustain your family and yourself, and it's you're gonna have to put a lot of hard work into it. There's no easy way to put it, and for that it's taking a really big leap of faith. I know for me personally, when I started at William Jessup University, I looked at the school as a freshman in high school. That was my first time visiting, and then my second time I registered for classes, and then the third time I went to the school, I moved in.
Oh my gosh.
And not once did I look at their music department, and part of me kind of regrets that, not because I don't love it, but because, oh my goodness, it is very intense, and it's it could be a little competitive sometimes.
Yeah.
But I just definitely took a leap of faith deciding to go into music, and I'm going to be taking a lot more if I keep going into music. So.
But that's where your passion's at.
It is. It definitely is. I mean, it just gives you a feeling of being whole, and for me it brings me closer to God. I mean, He gave me music as an outlet, and I just want to give back.
I would say my outlet is writing music. I just don't do anything with them.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll work on it later.
Yeah, I guess. So you said you have one song prepared, right?
I do. Did you want me to play it now?
I think we should talk more.
Okay,
yeah,
that works.
Good. But
that works.
She has an amazing voice, and she plays the guitar like no other, so we'll definitely get to that, though. How has your passion and gift for music and singing helped you to serve within our community and at William Jessup? Because you grew up here, right?
I did. I'm from here. I moved. Well, I'm from LA, but I moved here when I was young, and I basically grew up here. And I've always sang. I remember the first time I thought, hey, I can actually kind of sing, like, okay. I was 3 years old, and I was singing some Disney princess song, and decided that I wanted to be a singer, but I was going to be a pop star.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You get the best of both worlds.
Something like that. But I was really involved in choir, and growing up, I loved being on stage in general. I loved doing theater. I loved being in band. I loved singing. I have no actual artistic ability whatsoever. Even my stick figure people are ugly. So I stuck to music. And I don't know, my freshman year of high school, I picked up the guitar and I learned how to play it, and I focused more on my singing throughout high school, and I learned how to play a few other instruments, including piano and bass and a few other things, and I led worship at church for starting my freshman year in the youth group and on Sundays, and would help out wherever I could, and now I'm at Jessup and I'm helping lead a worship team for the school chapels and helping out at youth groups and different churches and stuff, and I've been offered a few internships and jobs and stuff for leading worship, and it's just been a really great journey.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy to like see where that leads you, because you've been talking about like how hard it is, but the fact of the matter is that if this is where you're meant to be and what you're supposed to be doing,
it's up to God, and it's trusting in Him all the way through, and it's really hard sometimes. Believe me, there's times where I think I cannot write a song, or when I'm really, really sick and I can't even squeak out a note. I'm just thinking, I don't know if I can do this, and I say, okay, God, this is up to you, whatever happens, and every door seems to be opening, and I mean, it's been such a great blessing.
Well, the right doors are opening, and the ones that aren't supposed to be are slamming right away.
And definitely.
What is some advice you have for people who have maybe set down the guitar because of other people's opinions, or maybe some doubts of kind of like what they're capable of doing, or maybe somebody who has been doubtful about picking up the guitar at all, which would be me?
For me, I was terrified to play an instrument. I mean, I didn't like to sing in front of people for the longest time, and most people would not believe that seeing me now. I used to be an extremely shy person, and I could barely talk to people, and getting up on stage, if I wasn't acting, I had to be covered in makeup and wearing a costume in order to be able to go up and on stage and sing in front of people or talk in front of people. And I still get kind of nervous talking in front of people, but I mean, going up there and playing music, I remember my very first concert, I was so nervous, but I was playing with my band, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it, and if I suck, then I suck, and that's just how it's going to be. And I went up there, and I remember this feeling of peace and comfort, and I absolutely loved it, and I learned how to play guitar, and it just brought me so much comfort. So I think, if you feel like you can do it, then go for it, and even if you can't, keep trying. And if someone tells you to, you shouldn't, don't listen to them. I mean, just keep trying, just keep practicing and keep going. And if you feel led to do it, then do it.
I'm curious to know, have you learned any, I know with different people as far as like when they do certain passions or different gifts that, trying to work it into their lives, have you learned any particular things as far as for music, like, ways to study or new ways to learn or things like that have helped you in other areas of your life? I know it's a deep question.
I mean, something I've found is that like music can be a really great study buddy. Not necessarily because for me, for example, I really like rock music, but you can't listen to rock music when you're studying or writing an English paper because you get very distracted or you accidentally start typing the wrong words. So classical music helps the brain, and it helps enhance your ability to study and to take in more information.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
It works really great, and you don't get distracted by lyrics, so that's nice, or that really cool guitar solo. So I definitely recommend that. Another thing that I've learned, and one of the things I've been considering doing with my life, is music therapy and working with autistic children. And I mean, there's several different ways that you could take this. You could go in and help people who are sick and stuff, but what it does is music can bring comfort to people. I mean, everyone loves music, and everyone can relate to it at some point in their life. And for me, music therapy is really important, especially for working with autistic children. And what it does is it slows down the environment around them and helps them to start their brain to start developing and them to be able to take in more things.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really music is very powerful.
Oh, I know. It truly is. And you actually mentioned that you would love to teach music one day. If that's kind of in the path to a purpose,
I think as a music major, you don't really have a choice but to teach people, just because it's one of the only ways you can make a living off of it. But I think if you enjoy something,
Yeah.
you might as well share it with
Well,
others.
I know you're good with kids, so it's
I do enjoy the presence of children.
so it's definitely a route you could possibly think about.
I could consider it, I guess.
Even though that you are at a Christ-centered school, has there been any new struggles that college has brought?
Oh, for sure. Procrastination. Living on my own, especially because I was homeschooled, my mom is not there to tell me, hey, go do your homework. No, I'm not going to change the Netflix password. I'm going to ask her to change the Netflix password this next semester because I really like Netflix instead of homework. For me, another thing is I sometimes ignore my studies and go to the practice rooms, which we have at school, and I just sit at a piano for 3 hours straight and play music and hang out with my music friends and go just do our own little concerts in there, and I forget about my homework, and then the next thing I know it's 2 a.m. and I still have a paper to write that's due at 9, and that can be a problem. So that's a big struggle for me. Another thing is you can spiritually struggle even if it's a Christian school. It's still going to be hard. It's your relationship with God, and it's still going to be rocky, and it's still going to be hard to keep focusing on your faith sometimes. Sometimes you're like, I know I've heard this scripture 1,000 times, or I really just don't want to go to that discipleship class today. And, it's a big struggle for wanting to go to all of the chapels, and even if they're not required, or wanting to go to that class even though you can skip it, or some days, it's Sunday, and you are exhausted because you just had an entire week of finals and you don't really want to go to church, but you still just keep going because it's God that you rely on through all of this.
I had to ask because college always brings new struggles.
Oh, for sure.
And I just, I was just wondering because, you are going to a centered, Christ-like school, but there's still struggles. You're still dealing with things. So it's nice to know we're in this boat together.
Oh, definitely.
We got through finals. Woo woo. Yeah. I feel so accomplished.
Oh, I know it. I had an entire week of performances and rehearsals the week before finals. And during that week, I had all of these final projects to do. And then all day Sunday, I was studying for finals the rest of the week. And it was exhausting. Yeah. But it's over. For this semester.
That's how I feel. Is there anything that's super rewarding about getting out there and performing and singing your heart out?
Other than the fulfillment of God and going up there and doing what I love, I love, my favorite part about leading worship is knowing that I'm giving back, because God gave me music as an outlet, and He gave me my talents, and I guess is how you could say it, and He gave these to me, and I just want to give back, and everything I do in music is to glorify God, and I love being able to watch everyone else worship. One of my favorite things, I have two stories. I was leading worship for the first time at my school, and I had my eyes closed, and we were singing Hosanna, and I open up my eyes just for one moment, and I look out, and I see all of these students and these young adults grasping for God. You could just see them. Their hands are reaching out as high as they can possibly stretch them, just trying to grasp God, and just grasping the concept of Him. And I think it was just the most beautiful thing. And it's just so fulfilling. I've never experienced anything like that. Another great thing is I'm in choir, and I absolutely love it. I love all of the people and all of the music that we do, and we just did some Christmas concerts, and we were singing Hark the Herald Angels Sing. And
I don't think I've heard that.
Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
Okay, maybe.
That one.
Maybe.
Yeah, so we were at the end of the song, and I had a good friend of mine who, it was his very last concert ever for school. He was graduating, and he was trying so hard to hold it together and just started crying at the end of the song. And it was so great. We'd been giving out and just giving back to the community, and that was the whole point of these concerts. And all of a sudden, it was like these songs gave back to us, and God gave back to us in that moment. And I just feel this hand reach down for mine, and I look down next to me, and I kind of look across, and I see our entire section. It's a very large crowd, and I see a good 15 of us just holding hands, just trying our hardest not to cry, because it was just that moment of peace and comfort and just you could feel the presence of God even in this very annoying Christmas song, and it was just so great. I mean, we'd been singing this song since October, so it was pretty annoying at that point, but it just became such a beautiful thing.
It's moments like those where your eyes really opened up, like, this is what I meant to do, this is what I'm meant to be.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those moments that I will remember about college, and I don't think I will ever forget.
I would love for people watching this to be able to feel that moment too, so let's go ahead and have you whip out your guitar and sing a song. I have no idea what she's singing, guys, so... So I'm excited too, because I used to worship in the crowds while she was leading.
There's nothing worth more that would ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence. I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves, when my heart becomes free and the shame is undone. Your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves, when my heart becomes free and the shame is undone. In your presence, Lord. And Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. Your presence, Lord.
I love you, Steph. I really do. It was so hard not to sing along with you. No, just because I'm like so used to like, you know, just like praising God and being able to sing with you.
The familiarity of it.
I was just like, stop it. No, but you're so good. I love it. And I love that you don't need like a mic and all this sound equipment and, you know, a big audience to just like, you know, like really get centered and be one with God. So it's really amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have a vision of where God is taking you along your path to purpose?
Honestly, I have no idea. I don't have a single idea. I feel like I'm wearing a blindfold and I'm just walking and I've got that stick ready to hit the piñata and I'm just like swinging like, hey God, where am I going? And
He's spinning you around.
He's spinning me around and there's so many directions that I could go and I'm just going along with it, just going with the flow. And it's been a really hard time just letting that be. But I don't know, we'll see what happens.
But you're learning a lot along the process. I mean, as far as
for
kind of
sure.
letting go and just letting God.
I've never taken such a big leap of faith, and I have this thing where I really like to be in control. Like, I really like to be in control. And it's been really hard, but I feel like it's worth it at this point. And so far, it's been an incredible journey, just trusting in God. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had my doubts and my struggles, but
Haven't we all?
it's been worth it. And I'm really looking forward to see what's at the end of this tunnel. So.
Yeah, and I think that's such an importance of, people sharing their path to purpose. I'm so excited to see where each and every one of my guests, where their path to purpose ends up taking them and leading them, and till that day that they leave this earth, until they fulfill their purpose. So it's just so beautiful to watch and see, and I love hearing stories, yours, and it's just so incredible, and I want to thank you. This has been almost a year, well, this has been a year basically, these are my last shows of this year, just of doing Shasta's Journey, and it's honestly been so rewarding to hear so many people's stories from different professions and different backgrounds and, different stories. And I love when people say like, oh, my story, it's not unique, it's nothing that you want to hear, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
I think all stories are unique.
Exactly. I love hearing stories, and I hope you guys love hearing stories too. And do you have any advice for anybody who's watching who is maybe struggling with their identity or is struggling to take that leap of faith?
Actually, there was a class that I was taking this semester, and we focused on identity for a good month of that class. I'm trying to think back to it.
It's such a huge...
That was midterms, not finals.
That college life, though.
Seriously. It's hard to take that leap of faith, and I know that personally, and especially with all of the struggles of daily life and the struggles that everyone goes through. All I can say is trust in God no matter what. And I know it's hard. Find people that trust in God as well. Find people to go along this journey with you, because you're not alone. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with making sure that you have friends and family there for you. You just don't be alone, because it makes it a lot harder, and especially if you're scared to take that leap of faith. But taking that leap of faith is always worth it. So
I think so too. Great words from a great woman. And do you have a quick Bible verse that you'd like to shoot at them real quick so they can look it up?
Oh gosh, I had it and then I can't remember. It's in Philippians. It's the really common
Philippians 4:12, 4:13.
4:13.
Look it up, guys. I think what we've learned from this episode is really just to let God let go and let God. It's really important, and just be okay with where you're at with your life journey so far. I look forward to hearing you guys' stories. Please go share it at shastasjourney.com or like us on Facebook at Shasta's Journey, and go ahead and message me and share your story. I'd love to hear it and have you guys on for the new season of Shasta's Journey. So I look forward to hearing that. God bless, guys, and go ahead and watch more episodes and have a great year. Bye. Thank you so much, Steph.